There was a boy in the village of Kashavpur whose sword was so sharp it could cut a falling leaf in half before it hit the ground. The villagers had seen him sharpen it 100 times. They had never seen him use it. His name was Veer, and for 3 years he had been getting ready to become the greatest warrior the village had ever seen. He just hadn't started yet. 3 years ago, Veer had decided he would enter the Grand Warrior Tournament held every year in the kingdom. He was going to win. He was sure of it. But first, he needed to prepare. So he studied every fighting technique ever written. He trained his footwork every morning. He meditated to sharpen his mind. He designed strategies. He even tracked how the wind moved differently in summer versus winter, because that could affect an arrow's path. He had thought of everything. The tournament came 3 times. 3 times Veer watched from the crowd, because something was always not quite ready. His left shoulder needed more work. He hadn't fully mastered the 3rd defensive stance. This year for sure. Definitely this year. One morning, while Veer was sharpening his sword, again, a boy sat down beside him on the wall. Uninvited. Completely at ease. Like he had been sitting there for years and Veer just hadn't noticed. Veer looked at him. The boy had a flute on his shoulder and a peacock feather in his hair and the kind of calm in his eyes that slightly irritated serious people. His name was Krishna. Krishna looked at the sword and asked one simple question. When's the last time you used it? Veer paused, thought, and realized he couldn't remember. He started explaining. The shoulder, the stance, this year for sure, almost ready. Krishna nodded, listening patiently. And then he said, let's spar. Right now. 10 hits. Just try to land 1 hit on me. Veer almost laughed. This was a boy with a flute. He had studied warrior technique for 3 years. This would be easy, he agreed. It was not easy. On the first try, Krishna moved left when every scroll said to move right. Veer's strike cut through air. On the second try, Veer used the 3rd defensive stance he had spent 6 months perfecting, and Krishna walked right through it like it wasn't there. On the 3rd try, Veer tried strategy. On the 4th, he tried instinct. The 5th, 6th, 7th, all different approaches, all misses, 10 tries, 0 hits. Veer stood there breathing hard, sword in hand, looking at a boy who hadn't even touched his flute. Veer was angry. He said, "You cheated. You moved wrong. No scroll describes what you did." And Krishna said, "Exactly." He told Veer, "In 10 minutes, you learned more than 3 years of preparation taught you. You learned that real opponents don't read your scrolls. You learned that your body and your mind move differently under pressure. You learned things you could never learn alone." He paused. Then he said, "Now imagine, if you had started 3 years ago. Veer entered the next tournament. He didn't win, but he fought. And in that one fight, he grew more than in 1,000 mornings of sharpening. And the next year, he fought again. And the year after that. Until the day came when he was actually ready. Not because he had prepared enough, but because he had lived enough. Here's the truth that nobody tells you. You will never feel fully ready. That feeling of almost ready is not a green light waiting to turn on. It's a trap. The sword that is never swung is just a decoration. Start swinging. If you know someone who's been preparing forever, send this to them right now. Subscribe to Soulhacks, new wisdom, every week.